Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. Feeling mixed about this. Need support. 10 years marriage, 2 children, wife had emotional affair for about a week and was seeing this person from time to time but is sure it never got physical. So been 3 years after D-Day, and more recently got to discuss, this year, been tough emotionally and getting to this point was hard. She hasn't done a polygraph yet, to know if she will, although she is willing. If I can, I guess I'll make it happen. So she admitted to an emotional affair and cried in my arms when she admitted to me, made me think more happened. Anyway, nowadays I feel mixed, like one day I'll feel closer to her and then I guess after some triggers or just thought patterns I tend to not want to be close to her or intimate. I sometimes think of her in a sexual manner with AP, it's making me resent her and I do my best to be nice. I don't give attitude like she would, I remain pleasant for the most part. She can tell when I'm off and I think she reacts to it in a certain way, like becoming a little distance herself or maybe just giving me space because I may be giving off a negative vibe. It's sorta haunting, like the unknown bothering me. I keep feeling like she was physical, even a kiss, but she surely denies it and she isn't a very good liar. What gets me is the part of the story that she can't remember a convo. Don't expect it to be word for word, but to say she flat out don't know what she was discussing with AP for 2 hours in person and 45 on the phone. She just remembers telling him they can't call each other anymore. I don't know how to feel about all this. I tried making her watch an infidelity video and she had an episode and cried for some time because both men in the video insisted on knowing everything. After this happened, I consoled her and made sure she was okay. So days pass and all she talks about is the kids and their schooling and teachers and how they're doing every day and so on, but nothing pertaining to us. It's like I can't keep bringing it up, but she really wants to move on with it. It's not so easy for me. I'd love to move on in my thoughts so I can have a healthy relationship. I feel she has broken the sanctity of our marriage and so at times I just don't see her the same. Still don't trust her. Liars lie, and cheaters lie. Most will watch the house burn with everyone in it before they will tell you the truth. Some will never tell the truth. She won't because she doesn't want to hurt you. Still will lie and tell you her lie story. Do the lie detector. They usually hold out until you get a parking lot confession. But you still do the test. Do it, get it over with. Save your sanity and do it. So you are in this situation for 3 years, right? What have both of you done to work through her affair? What has she done to win your trust back? Do you know her AP? Is he cut out of her life? What has she told you for why she had this affair? How did they get to know each other, who started the affair and who ended it? First, I'm sorry that you're here. No EA is established in a week, they take time to manifest, often months. From the initial meeting and casual conversation, eventually, the conversations become more personal and in-depth. Over time they turn romantic in nature, even sexual. This takes more than a few days. What you have to keep in mind is that she made these conscious decisions and acted upon them. This was not a mistake on her part, she chose to do this to you and your marriage. You are not in the reconciliation phase, in fact, you seem to be stuck in an extended rug sweeping phase. You need to understand that this woman is no longer the woman you married. Your wife is a more accomplished liar than you think she is, so don't waste the time or money on a polygraph. Like locks only stop honest people, polygraphs only catch honest people in lies. If she believes her own lies, then to her, she isn't lying. She pulled the wool over your eyes for a very long time, get over it. She cried in your arms when she was caught to garner sympathy from you, not out of guilt for her actions, and sadly, you fell for it. Her breaking down during the infidelity video should speak volumes to you. This situation is much worse than you currently believe it is. You need to stop consoling and coddling her. She cheated, she lied, she destroyed the trust you had for her, and she betrayed you and your marriage. This is solely on her to fix. She should be begging you for forgiveness and doing whatever you need to heal, not the other way around. What you should do now is take a step back, look at what you do know, and decide if you want to spend the rest of your life not being able to trust the woman you're with. Good luck to you, friend. Thanks. I dunno, I feel thoughts of getting sexual may have occurred but maybe not manifested. I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that they did something. The 2 hours that they were together, unless there's some way they couldn't possibly do, even if it was mutual masturbation. To me, her not telling you this stuff says that it was physical, and she just can't admit it because you'll leave her if she did. She obviously knows what she said. She's trickling you, but I would have got to STDs test if you could. How old are the children? She may be a bad liar, but she only needs to be a good one when it really matters. Sounds like it's been rug swept. 6 and 10. Some view an EA as a PA that hasn't had the chance to get physical yet. There are 3 reasons for no physicality. Distance. You need to be in the same physical space. She fails here, she was in his house. Opportunity. They need to be alone, she didn't take anyone with her. Insufficient desire. The EA has not had enough time to erode the boundaries sufficiently. EAs typically start with a fantasy, to escape real or imagined problems in the relationship. AP is someone that generally is new in their life or rediscovered and they are attracted to, have a crush on. They begin really slowly and snowball over a number of weeks. Sex is almost transactional, the wayward trades sex to ensure that the great feelings and endorphins of their honeyed words keeps being supplied. They take time to establish, to destroy the current relationship over weeks of displacing the betrayed, then finally become physical. They are a destructive fantasy, the perfect partner that can do no wrong as long as they stay out of touch with true reality. PAs also start with an attraction, but it is more based on an infatuation. It is typified by a wayward with poor boundary controls seeing someone they covet. They are quick burners and live very much in the here and now space. Think ONS or really short affairs. Your wife's actions as described do not seem consistent with an EA. There is something wrong with this picture. Either it is an EA and the timeline is way off, or it's a short-term infatuation with all the things that go with this. No way, it is an EA that just lasted a week. Error 404, this does not compute. Most cheaters wouldn't recognize that they are in an EA after just a week. At this stage they should be at most just friends. Have you read Not Just Friends by Shirley Glass? It will help. Never read that book, but I may just do that. She only saw him 4 times in life. What gets me is when he came to do cleanup and grass around my house. My wife called me to meet him, he couldn't look me in the face, and that was major red flag. I think also reviewing security footage, they were technically non-verbal flirtation, looks and smiles. She is very friendly but not like this. You could sense the tension from a mile between them, and his body language towards her and being in her space were all red flags to me, and that was the first time actually realizing that something is going on. From the confession 3 years ago and choice to cut him off to now, her story is more or less the same. I really don't think she would be able to make it get sexual and come back to me the next day. I think it may have reached kissing, or at the very least expressing to each other. Not being able to account for that last day is what is killing me, because she's a horrible liar. She would rather not remember. It was more so the convo that she doesn't not the actions. She remains adamant it was not physical, but I'm sure thought was put into that. Not that this matters much, but App has a GF and kids. She'd rather go for someone single? Maybe, but APS GF told me she would bet her life they had sex because he is a serial cheater. She say he wouldn't waste his time with her if they weren't having sex. I think it's unusual to intro me to him for one. I feel at that point nothing happened, or maybe but that last night I could swear my daughter was with her. Dain't rem either. What his GF said combined with his not looking you in the face is worrisome. A serial cheater is always on and flirtation is a habit. He should not be in avoidance when meeting you, but instead should be playing to the crowds. You're wayward, that he is your equal or superior in a nice way. A PA is defined by covetousness. They want what they want and will take from someone else to get it if required. In the here and now he has a family, doesn't matter, they aren't present or here at the moment. Their last interaction is critical, and the reason she won't tell you about it is because you won't like it. The language she uses to describe AP is telling. An EAP tends to be described with words and phrases like soulmate, perfect and he just gets me etc. PAP will be described by their physical characteristics. Please take this with a health warning because it's over the internet, but you have described a fledgling PA, not an EA. You think it got physical? Horrible to ask that, as you really don't know, but I do know myself. That is down to speculation. What is certain is that she is demonstrating guilt over something. It seems way out of proportion for a 4-day crush that went nowhere. That's pretty much exactly how I feel. She said it was just the fact that she would go as far as to even like someone else, or without saying it, consider him over me, or maybe decided not to when it came down to being physical. Something does not add up, that's for sure. We are married for 7 years at the time, 10 years now. She does not describe him as attractive. She got attracted due to him taking off his shirt, but to me she said although that happened it was never sexual. Her words, no kissing or touching. He asked for a goodbye hug and according to her it was a shoulder hug. Due to the fact she usually has my child with her, I wouldn't think anything physical would happen then. She also said she went inside to use bathroom, either her or my daughter, and the house was dirty and trashy and just her style. The guys supposedly recently got out of jail and describing his life to her, and most of her convos is him telling her his life. She said she really just liked the attention, but when she realized it couldn't go anywhere she stopped it. I know my wife to be a talker, she is friendly and sociable, so it's weird that she told him nothing about her life. Nothing about me, just the guy doing all the talking. Seems weird because they spent maybe up to 3 hours a day and she would always be fixing something, and again she only knew him for 4 days over the span of a week. I had texted him from her phone and I don't know if he caught on, but I got a response from him but nothing happened. I almost feel it's a little rehearsed. Not accounting for the last day is what is troubling me, and she didn't answer when I was calling her at that moment. She also said he never flirted with her verbally, it was really just the way he would look at her. I don't believe two grown people that supposedly like each other on a basis with that type of tension not do anything. Even after me meeting him she went over there 2 more times. Do know what got fixed if anything that last time? She can't remember the 2-hour conversation because she was too busy having end of relationship sex and needed the 45 minutes of the phone to tell AP that it really was over. That's kinda how I feel, like it makes no sense to me, but hey, without all the details it may sound pretty bad, and it is, but I don't know about the sex part. It may have happened or not. I'm really just giving it some time for myself. It's putting my work behind and I'd rather not have it affect the rest of my life, but best believe we will talk about this again, and it may not be nice in all honesty. I think what you stated above is what happened, but again I have no way of confirming, and at the time it was happening I looked for signs of power, but she is either really good at hiding it or she didn't go that far. No extra showering, unless it's at his place or some I do know. It also embarrassing if I have to see this person around town. Where did this 2-hour conversation take place? I find it very hard to believe that she was running off to be with him first thing in the morning and they didn't kiss and duck. There must have been some sort of trigger to get her to stop the affair and confess to you after a week of the seduction dance. My guess is that it was a physical trigger that suddenly made it too real for her. Get the polygraph. This 2 hours happened at his place. She would go there to fix stuff like radiator, AC and lawnmower. He was getting paid until he refused payment on mower since he wasn't sure it was fixed. She would like going there with our daughter, most times. That last time I can't recall if my daughter was there, and she confirmed she wasn't. That 2 hours according to her was them talking with a lot of silence in between, no kissing or touching of any kind. She calls it a crush now, but when it happened and she confessed to me she considered it cheating emotionally, which it felt that way. I met the guy, he couldn't look me in the face. When they just met was to fix the radiator, and she told me where she was going and everything. I had to work at the time. Maybe from first day she got the hots for him by him taking his shirt off. That was the story. You don't know what to believe. part of me believes her. I know the EA didn't go beyond a week, in fact she never saw him every day, but she did have a liking for him, which she admitted to me. At the time when it was happening I was considering divorce, but she confessed before I got to it, so I decided to give things another try, but I guess feelings of distrust was there. Get the polygraph. She's doing all the wrong things, and you're allowing it to happen and enabling her behavior. She's currently rug sweeping and using emotional manipulation to ensure you allow it to continue. Flat out, you have to disconnect from her. She knows she can get emotional and you'll just jump in to reassure her and make her feel better. You, the victim, are making her feel good about her manipulation and rug sweeping. You are training her to be rewarded for bad behavior. You need the 180. Look it up. You need to let her feel bad and cry without swooping in to save her and make it all better. If she cries, let her. Leave the room and let her cry. Let her do her manipulating bullshit all by herself. Here is what will happen. She will get mad at you, she will get pissed that she can't manipulate you anymore. If she's a remorseful cheater, she'll come around to seeking the help she needs, and start healing you as well. If she is unremorseful, she will continue to get mad, and ramp up her blame shifting. Not only will she blame you for the affair, but also blame you for not repairing the marriage, and not being compassionate to her in her time of need. It's all about selfishness. You are going to have to make bold action. Nothing will get better or heal while she rug sweeps and you allow it. You are currently, with your actions, digging a deeper grave to bury your marriage in, a marriage she destroyed and refuses to repair. So do as you will, but if you stay on this track, you're prolonging the suffering, and most likely just delaying the inevitable divorce. Maybe I'll see if this works, 180, but I'll give her some time and myself really. Update, we spoke again, this time I was able to better analyze her responses. Update original post. Hello, just to start off, I'm feeling a bit liberated but also bad at the same time. I don't know how long to keep this up, but as wife and I spoke about EA, I began to actually see her responses from a psychological perspective from all the books I've read recommended by Redditors, also some YouTube vids. I think those resources have helped me in some way to normalize how I felt and realize it's a reaction to wife's actions, so I didn't feel as crazy anymore. So there were times she got aggravated during our talk, or should I say questioning, maybe deflecting? Well, she still was not really able to answer to a great detail how the last day went. I've asked her in different ways, proposing simple scenarios just to see if there would be an admission of, say, a possible handshake or holding hands. Or say a kiss on the cheek. While watching her responses and eye contact, I've noticed the questions she may have lied about, and I've noticed her persistent eye contact when talking about being physical with the app. Liars may either look to the right or give you the death stare and continues to watch you for acceptance. Well, you get what I mean. In her case, as much as I think she is telling the truth about that, I really don't know and do feel as if something inappropriate had to happen in order to even trigger her cutting app off. She could also be telling the truth. I recorded as much as I could this convo, and last, it's difficult sometimes to revisit some details. For us it was that she basically fell out of love for me and was entertaining an infatuation, or as I guess we would call liking, in an intimate way without being intimate. Doesn't seem to make sense, does it? I feel the same. The fact that she only saw him for 4 days, maybe 2 hours at a time. She said first attraction started second day, third and fourth didn't intensify much, things were more noticeably inappropriate, and by the time she realized there's nothing else to fix, she decided she's not going back over there or communicating anymore. Him liking her came out in the last convo on the phone, and things really did end at that point. She also mentioned in our previous chat that he called her once out of the blue, maybe some months or a year ago. Short convo, I guess. I kept track of call records and I noticed her change in attitude towards me, and she became more invested in us. So since our talk today, which I was able to remain calm and humble but still firm to my expectations, she now knows that she is the one to fix this, and I will not pick up the slack anymore for this. No more rug sweeping. She is to put time and effort into making this work again and to build my trust in her again. She mentioned doing the polygraph, but even so we would still need counseling or therapy. One thing though, after our talk she hasn't said a word to me and seems to be avoiding me a bit. Same here though, and I'll stick it out. I do love her to death, but I need to be sure she loves me as well. Playing house and mom and dad does not signify love to me. It must be shown directly to me and affirmed with words. Good night. Two lovers meet for X just to do nothing? I wouldn't believe that. She liked the attention, does seem unusual, but she was paying for him to fix the AC, the mower and radiator, so she went for multiple reasons. This happens all the time. Cheaters downplay their cheating. It is next to impossible that two people who have emotional attachment and talk sexually and exchange sexual messages do nothing when they meet. It's highly probable that they have already discussed how they will do things when they meet. Two adults who's sexually attracted to each other will do nothing for 2+ hours, meeting for X. Do not ever believe the mouth of a cheater. I've never seen inappropriate MSGs and she denies any flirt talk, but what cheater wouldn't? I'm not accusing her still. Ask her to let you do a data recovery on her phone. They have apps you can get fairly cheap and download /revolver a good bit, if not all. As long as she doesn't factory reset the phone. Also, if you are the main on your phone carrier, then contact them also. Can't get anything from 3 years ago and the phone has been replaced twice. Do you still have the old ones? Yes, but they are faulty. I can try to get it fixed. Still options. Some Pi specialize in IT recovery of older devices. Also, you can look into electronic repair. It is going to cost, but in the situation could be worth it. I will do this. Glad I kept the phone. I do believe though that it would be in the cloud. It's an iPhone. Adults don't risk it all to just talk 4 times. She's lying to you, zero remorse. I would not be surprised if she was still in contact with him. I wouldn't swear for anyone, but I highly doubt she is in contact with him. She doesn't hide her phone or anything, and phone records don't show his number. She really cut contact with him, that is something I know for sure. She's not telling you the whole truth. Without this, how can you ever trust her? Blindside her with divorce papers. You don't need to follow through with it right to the end. But the fear of being single and on her own will likely scare her straight. Yes, this is a plan that may be used if necessary. I also have an exit plan, kinda sad to say the least, but if that's what it is, then that's what it is. I can't force her to love me and be faithful. So, went back and read your post. It's been 3 years. You have to let it go or leave her. You believe it went on for a week. It's been 3 years since. Why are you trying to find out if more happened? Judge how she has been with you since. What if she ducked him for a week straight, and she has fully committed to you these last 3 years? Is that 1 week more important than the 10 years? You have chosen to stay, then truly commit to the relationship. It's surprising she is staying with you after 3 years of you bringing all this up again and again. Don't get me wrong, cheating is awful. I am in no way minimizing it. I would not reconcile because I know I can't get past it. But you've chosen to stay, but you're not truly committing to the relationship. So, you're half-assed about it, waiting for the other shoe to drop, so you're emotionally kept yourself uncommitted to protect yourself. You said she told you that she wasn't in love with you when this EA happened. How does she feel about you after you bring up this topic up over and over again? I know on this sub they will all say it's about your feelings and not heads. You can take their advice, but the thing they all have in common is failed relationships. So, be careful whose advice you take. Your problem is that now you're afraid to fully commit to her. I get why, but if you don't, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy and you're going to drive her away. Plus, you're driving yourself crazy. Fully commit one way or the other. Either stay and let that week fully go, or divorce her. 3 years of purgatory for the two of you, yes, both of you, is long enough. The relationship pretty much restarted after the situation and we were doing good, but I still had trust issues and that started the whole thing again. We never really dealt with it until now. Okay, hopefully you haven't been driving both of you crazy for 3 years straight. Smile. A lot of issues, not just infidelity, get pushed under the rug, including childhood trauma, to resurface again years later. Have therapy to help you guys out. I just remembered a Greek fable that may be beneficial to your story. So a king is sitting with his court and they are having a big party and feast. The king declares that he wants to invade the neighboring city-state. His wise chief advisor asks him why he wants to go to war with them. The king says that he will get their treasures, and then they can party, feast and celebrate. The chief advisor tells him, but you're already very rich and we feast and party all the time already. The king, of course, doesn't listen and goes to war, ends up loses his life, and his family is enslaved after the neighboring city-state invades his kingdom. The reason it reminded me of your story is that you seem to have been good with your wife for the last 3 years. You say you love her to death. How does finding out exactly what happened that week a winning strategy? If she insists more didn't happen, you're not going to fully believe her. You're only going to believe her if she tells you that she was physical with him. So, either scenario you don't win. Then why still pursue it? Believe me, I get why you would want to know. And I get why you are fixated on that week. It's a very traumatic week for you, almost like you have PTSD. But is that the wise or winning decision? Good luck. You seem to have a good head on your shoulders, and like you said, even if you go your separate ways it won't be bitter. But in this case, and normally I'm not a reconciliation guy like I said, but I'm rooting that you two make it together. Thanks. I hope we make it too. Just to shed some perspective on things, I've always felt and always have carried the relationship, everything else is shared. I believe she loves me because we live life together, that's simple. She does not seem to care ABT my feelings as I have ABT hers. We don't have to love the same, but at least a gesture, an apology, a good morning text, an expression of love through actions like cooking or baking or even purchasing something for me or even taking me out. Not to sound like the chick here, but these are things I do for her. I even do her clothes shopping, our grocery shopping, help with children. I am a father after all. This plus I actively run a 2-part business, 2 businesses in one, and invest in various things. It's on me to pay bills at the end of the month, and she doesn't do not one of these things for me. She cooks for the children but not for me. She sleeps beside my daughter in fear of her having her nightmares. I slept alone up until I made her put the bed they like in our room, as she was sleeping on that bed in my son's room, and I slept alone in a big ass master bedroom. All these things have been brought to her attention, not in a nagging or complaining way, but I'm at the point where I want an actual wife that will put me first and love me unconditionally and not tell me I have to do more. If I want her to work on things, I must take on more responsibilities so she can have more free time. Today before our convo she was watching a Chinese movie on her phone. I called her when I woke up. She gets them ready for school, drop them off, come home and do God knows what, maybe cleaning sometimes. I wash the dishes mostly now BTW since she was caught up with the schooling, but other times she's making calls and writing in her planner. Then kids come home and it's all about feeding kids and getting them to bed. After that, any convo she initiates is about the kids and school, nothing else. Nothing about us, knowing how I feel about that situation and that I'm trying and being patient and sympathetic to her feelings. Love alone can't hold this house together, couldn't keep my wife from an EA either or par if it happened. Okay, so this is very different than your post. I got the impression that she had that 1 week of infatuation/EA, but the last 3 years have been good. Before, my comment was that what happened that week doesn't matter, because you have 3 years of data since. I thought the last 3-year data was good, and you have a lot of more pertinent information. I still don't think that week matters in the big scheme of things, because you have 3 years of data. But that data is bad. It's showing that she is not into you. Like she told you back then, she doesn't love you, and it seems to have stayed that way. She seems to also be giving you the passive-aggressive finger by cooking for the kids and herself, but not you. Seems to go beyond not loving you to not wanting to do for you. Seems a lot of resentment there on her part. The problem to me is not that she cheated. The problem is that she no longer wants to be with you. She is probably staying for the kids and your security. Hopefully, during therapy you two can see if this relationship is recoverable. You can't beg or guilt someone into loving you or wanting to be with you. She has to want that, and it doesn't seem that she does, but I obviously have limited data, and maybe MC will unlock why she feels the way she does and if it's changeable. Either way, I don't think that week should be your focus. I mean, if she no longer loves you, resents you and doesn't want to be with you, it's not hard to see how another person can come into the marriage. Obviously, it sucks being rejected, and not wanted anymore, but it happens every day. It could have as easily happened the other way around too, where you no longer wanted her. Of course, if one has the option to choose, they would be the rejecter. I need to ask you something though. She seems to have been treating you poorly at least these last few years. Maybe not being mean or abusive, but distant and unloving. How can you still love her so much and want her so much? You need to examine why yourself. Is it that you don't want to be rejected? Is it that you're afraid of starting over again? Is it that you don't want to lose? I just can't imagine loving someone who doesn't love me back, except for a child. So, maybe you are focusing on that week for other reasons. Is it that unconsciously you want to find an excuse to finally leave her? Or is it that you think that is the key, and if you solve that riddle it will unlock her feelings for you? Again, with very limited data, my guess would be the former. I think you've had enough, but are having a hard time letting go. Either way, together or divorce, still wishing things work out for the both of you, and especially for your kids. So it's that our feelings of over the past 3 years and all the things stated was just our setup until now. Since the EA situation, it brought me back to that feeling of her not loving me. From 2 paragraphs or a post, you can't possibly tell what our dynamic is like. We live in peace and love and support each other, but all those things said above is true and not all of it is in context. E.g., I'm the only vegan in my house, so I guess that's why I have to cook for me. She never attempt though, but she will even eat some of my food and still cook for the kids and herself. Maybe she feels it's being done already, so she doesn't need to. Just saying, without writing an epistle the basics, but read with caution. Our last 3 years became best in the last year. The other 2 was the journey there, and it took me trying my best to keep her occupied after the EA and provide support. Lol, context does matter. Vegan things make a difference. Too confused. Just to keep it simple, get a divorce. I tend to agree with the decent_impact 2129 analysis. There might be details that can be important, like veganism, but having lived in a family that needed 3 different menus, and food being prepared by the weak link, vegetarian, it doesn't seem to me to be key factors that could change the sense of what you have written. Facts are clear: you are and were unhappy in your marriage. And the whole demeanor, between the lines, of your post shows it: uncleaned house, doubt about alone time when children at school, lack of intimacy, inevitable when children are close by, lack of proactiveness or passiveness by your wife. And I, too, think that EA or PA is just a way for you to question your present and your future. Having lived for many years in a family dynamics like yours, I can understand you, but our glue was that we were business partners where both were essential for its survival. I wouldn't go as far as shouting, divorce. But what is your glue/excuse for accepting this life? Children? But you said they/he or she has nightmares. That emo is a clear reaction to the atmosphere in the house. We actually keep a good atmosphere in the home. Apart from the occasional disagreements, we don't really fight, and if she flares up, he'll just move on from the convo. I had an outburst and got angry at her once in all our years from dealing with this same situation. Overall, though we live in a good situation, you can call the post a bit of a rant as well, not complaining but just a way to convey the dynamic, and that's from my point of view. I'm sure hers involves a bunch of doing things as well. Children and dogs, sorry for the comparison, are very receptive to vibes and show it in their behavior. Please keep a watchful eye on them, the children. Yes, sometimes we need to vent. My only regret is that I found Reddit so late in my life. Reddit helps, but most people tend to push their bitterness and project that. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.